What's going on YouTube? Welcome back. Today we're doing the last machine in this track. The machine is RedCross and it's the only medium to hard machine in terms of difficulty among the other machines. So let's get started. In this machine we're gonna have multiple methods to achieve the first shell. I'm going to try to go over all of the methods to get the first shell. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing here, let's start with the nmap scan. So first I started, guys, with the nmap scan, as you can see here, -A and the IP address. We got several open ports, among them 22 for SSH, 80 for Apache server running, and another Apache server running on port HTTPS. So that's the first findings. So we go navigate to the web server here. Let me end the session. So first let's end the session here. So we're gonna show you guys how it all turned out, and let me close all of the shells here. This one here goes as well. Gonna close this one. Say yes. Okay, hopefully this will clear the machine to open. Alright, so when we first open the web page, we have this. As you can see, we have to add the intra RedCross HTTP to the host file, okay, because it automatically navigates to this path. So we see this page, we have username and password, prompt to a login box, and as you can see we have a contact form. Now before we start enumerating the site, if you go back, I run directory search on the website as we usually do for all the machines. As you can see, I chose -K because we're handling a web server running an SSL certificate, and I use this word list. So we discovered multiple directories. Among them is documentation. So if you navigate to documentation, alone, you see it tells you it is forbidden. So there is something else on this path. So what we do here, we go back to the nmap scan, to the command line, and we run another directory search, but this time we give the full path to the documentation page. So since this is a documentation page, there must be some sort of files on this page. We can take advantage of these files. Take a look at the how the web server working. So basically we use -PDF because most of the documentation files are in PDF format. So we use the same word list here, okay, and we discovered that there is an account sign up page under this path. So reading through that, as you can see, it's giving you a guide how to submit the contact form. So if you have an issue, as you can see, it's very important that the subject of the message, let's go to the contact form, clicking on contact form here. Okay, so the subject specifies that you are requesting credentials, and also specify the username in the body of the message. So here we say credentials, and here we say the username that we would like to get access to. So we are interested in admin, right? So we type here admin, and then we put here the contact phone or email address. Okay, and then we submit contact. So doing this will not work because obviously it's not going to give you the credential of the admin. So here we are back to the web application vulnerabilities enumeration. So when we see open boxes or contact forms, couple vulnerability scanning methods jump to mind. So the first one is, as you can see, SQL injection, and of course cross-site scripting, HTML injection, and so on and so forth. So in this scenario, or in this machine, you have to discover a way to exploit cross-site scripting. So we have three input boxes here. The first one for the subject, the email, and the contact phone. So both the first and the second boxes are not vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So how can you find this out? This. So we go to here, grab a simple XSS payload, such as this one, submit. As you can see, it says, oops, someone is trying to do something nasty. Going back here, So the first and second one, if you input the same simple XSS payload, it's going to give you the same output. Now what about the third one? So what we are interested in doing here, guys, since the form is dedicated to requesting credentials, we're going to go with it. So first we're going to specify the credentials and say we want to get access to the username admin. So since this is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, or we expect that the third box is vulnerable to cross-site scripting. How do we know that? Again, let's do this. Contact. And as you can see, it says we are processing a request. Temporary credentials have been assigned to you. So it didn't complain that there is weird characters in the third input box. So probably there is a problem here, or it is vulnerable to stored cross-site scripting. So what we can do here, we can go back, grab the credentials, okay, and say we are interested in grabbing the username admin. So say admin here, and what you would like, what we want to do here is inputting an XSS payload that, if succeeded, it's gonna give us the admin cookie. So let's find one. So cookie stealer, there are multiple methods to steal the cookies. I prepared this one that what it does is it actually calls my web server that I'm going to spawn, okay, and request an image. And in the process, it's going to transfer the cookie to my machine. So putting that here, going back to the command line, new one, Python, already in use. Let's check it out here. Okay. Yeah, I think we should. Okay, keep this as is. And now we're gonna click on contact, and see here we should receive the cookie soon, because it is vulnerable to cross-site scripting. Yeah, so this is the cookie, the PHP session ID. Probably this is the admin's cookie. So what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to click on inspect, navigate to storage, and here modify the parameters. So we've got the admin cookie here. We're going to take it, and yeah, X, refresh. As you can see now, everything changed. We have an error in SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to my database server. Yeah, so as you can see, it's switched to admin, right? And immediately we get an SQL error. So this is also vulnerable to SQL injection attack. Now, another thing, guys, that I wanted to show you. Further down the road, I did another enumeration on the machine. So basically, scrolling down, I used here, let's see, maybe this one. It looks like we're gonna need to run this one more time. Okay, so there is this subdomain here, admin.redcross.html. How are you gonna unveil this? You're going to run wfuzz here, fuzz -w seglist discovery. As you can see now, it's the URL, and this is the host. So basically we're fuzzing the position where it points to the subdomain. Enter. We're going to do a bit of filtering here, so we're gonna Control C, go back, -HW, and filter all the responses where the word count is 28. And not long after we get the admin subdomain. That's how we get it. Okay, back here. Okay, on the admin here, let's refresh the page one more time. Inspect the element. Now we're going to go back and change the cookie to the admin cookie when I log in here. So storage, refresh, and now we are logged in as an admin. Okay, so we have two utilities here. The first one is user management, and the other one is network access. So user management here, what we can do, you can add users here. But let's try with this one, test one, add user. As you can see, provide this credential to the user. Test one and the password. If you try to log in with this user as an SSH, it's not going to work. It's the shell is actually restricted, and it looks like you're in jail. So we're going to go back and go to network access. So here we add IP addresses, right? Obviously, there's a firewall working, right? So if you add an IP address here, it's gonna whitelist the IP address, much like I did here. So let me explain to you how it works. So basically, we fire a perp suite, and we highlight intercept is on, and we add an arbitrary IP address. For now, let's put this off. Okay, allow IP. As you can see, we get this, and what happened? Back. Yeah, as you can see, this IP address now is allowed. You can click on deny and remove it from the list. But what's going on here? What is the command that is executed to whitelist or blacklist an IP address? To know that, we're going to need to intercept is on, and going back to the IP address 10. So this time, perp allow. Yeah. So this is the command, IP and allow. Let's intercept the response here. Do intercept response. Forward. Look at this. Debug all checks passed, executing IP tables. So IP tables is the command that's being executed to allow or deny an IP address. So that's the first thing to know. Now, if you go back, let's click on deny. Okay, so here you have an RCE exploitation. Now, I don't expect you guys to ask me how do you know, because you know by trying, right? So we try, we enumerate, that's how we know. So basically here, if you try to use pipe ls and send this, you're going to get the list of the files under the current working directory, which means there is a comment or there's a remote command execution vulnerability here. Alright, so now we're going to need to put the IP back. Intercept is off, yeah, allow. And then before clicking on deny, clicking on intercept is on, deny, and here we're going to return this from a simple directory listing command into a full RCE shell. So here, curl, HTTP, here I put my IP address. You can use your IP address as well. I'm not going to execute this because I'm just showing you guys the path how to achieve it, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do it and jump immediately to the shell. And here I put the port and shell.sh directors to /temp. Okay, so when you do that, it's going to download a shell from your machine. Now, the contents of this shell is a bash reverse shell. So scrolling up, let me show you guys the content of this shell. So here, ls. Okay, where is this shell? Okay, shell. This is the shell. It contains a simple bash reverse shell that, if executed, it's going to connect to the port 4545 on my machine. Now, given that the web server is running, when I execute this, it's going to download it from my machine. Now that's not enough. We need to execute this. So on the next round of intercepting the request, we're going to issue this command. So bash temp shell. Now this is how you achieve the first shell. And this is it. Here, let me see. Yeah. So let's click on port 545, we receive the shell. It is as dub data. Okay, now that's the first path to the shell. Okay, all right, let's go back. Now, given that you have added your IP address to the whitelist, why not doing another nmap scan? Maybe some other ports are protected by firewall and they won't open unless you whitelist your IP address. So I conducted another nmap scan here after I added my IP to the whitelist. So I got more ports open. As you can see, we have 1025 and we have 5432 for PostgreSQL database. So obviously the second way to achieve shell on the machine is by interacting with this port. Okay, interacting with the port here using netcut, right? Connect to the machine on port 1025, and we discover that there is Haraka running on the machine, which is an SMTP server for exchanging email, sending and receiving emails. So this version is vulnerable to RCE. How do we know? Yeah, let's see how do we know. So search exploit. As you can see, versions lower than 289 are vulnerable to remote command execution. Two methods to achieve shell. First one is with Metasploit. So I run Metasploit here, MSF console, and I search for a module, or search for Haraka is here, and the type is exploit, and I found one. Haraka SMTP command injection. Alright, scrolling down. So here I set the parameters, lhost to my IP address, lport to a port that I want to listen on, rhost for the IP address of the machine, rport is the port that the SMTP server is running on, email from any email would work, and email to any other email also would work. I choose Penelope because it's the username on the machine. How do I know? Here, you can find out by just looking at the password file in this shell. Okay, going back here. After multiple attempts, I got the first shell on the machine using interpreter. That's the other method of achieving the shell on the machine. Now, if you don't want to use Metasploit, you can use the exploit itself. Okay, here you go. So the exploit, you can find it here, Haraka, at the exploit database. You can download it on your machine, but you have to edit some stuff here. You have to edit this line. Scrolling down, edit this line where it points to where it connects to the SMTP server, and instead of port 25, we're gonna use 1025. How to run the exploit? Look at this. Use Python 2 to run the exploit. -c. Now -c is the command to execute. Obviously, we want to get a reverse shell, so we're going to, what we need to do, we need to use a shell. You can use the same shell here, the bash one, but for diversity, I used a Python reverse shell. So cat shell py. This is the contents of the Python reverse shell. Use your IP address and the port you want to connect to. Now this shell I want it to be retrieved from my machine. So going back here, yeah, I use wget. So the command I want the exploit to execute is wget, retrieve the shell from the reverse shell from my machine and store it under dev shm. Okay, and then I use semicolon to indicate that I want to execute another command. The other command is executing the shell after saving it. Okay, -d will be the sender, and -m will be the address of the machine we are testing. In case in the current scenario, it's RedCross.http. So doing that will give you the other shell, as you can see at the very last line. Success, and here my machine was listening on port 4548, and I got the shell as Penelope. That's the third way of achieving the shell. Alright, now we have achieved all of that. Let's go back to the nmap scan that we have executed after we whitelisted the IP address. So we have a PostgreSQL database running. So one way to interact with this database is by connecting to it. So let me show you guys what I did. Probably this is the interaction here. No. Let's see where I interacted with the shell, with the machine, with the database. Most probably it is here. Okay, not here. And not here. Yeah, so here it is. Okay, assuming that you chose one method, one of the methods we have discussed to achieve the first shell. Okay, now we want to connect to the PostgreSQL database. So what you can do, you can say psql, okay, -h specifying the local host, IP address, -t Unix, and -u Unix manager. What are these, by the way? These are the connection parameters you're gonna find if you let me show you guys. Hopefully I have them here somehow. Yeah, so as you can see, if we issue ls in the root directory of the web server, we can see there is a file called actions. If we display the contents of this file, we see connection parameters, username, passwords. What you want to grab these. As you can see, the Unix manager is the username, database is Unix, and this is the password. That's how we got these. Going back to the shell itself. So dash the Unix database and dash u the username. And I got connected, as you can see. Supplying the password, I got connected. Now, interacting with PostgreSQL is a bit straightforward. So basically, /DT or /DT, we list the tables, groups, passwords, shadow, user groups. So if we list the contents of this password table by saying here, select asterisk from password table. This will display all of the entries in the password table. So we got only one, Tricia, and this is the password hash, the UID, the GID, and this is the home directory. As you can see, the home directory points to a weird one, var or var jail home. Okay, now what you want to do here, you want to insert, in order to escalate the privileges, you want to insert a new username, okay, with a new password, a new GID, and a new home directory. Okay, now since we want to escalate the privileges, we want to insert a user that's privileged. Okay, so you can select any user. Say you want to enter, let me show you guys, skip right to the solution here, it's better. So insert into table, into password table. Now here the username is sudo XXX. That's the username I selected, and this is the password after I MD5 hash it. Okay, here 27, the GID 27 is the GID of the sudo words group. How you can find this? Let's see where I found it. Yeah, so here if you say cat etc group, it's going to give you all of the groups in the machine. So we have sudo words, or we have sudo has 27 as a GID. So when we create a new user, or when we insert a new user into the database using this command, we specify the GID to be 27 so that the new user sudo XXX is part of the sudo words group. Okay, once we do that, we can now SSH with the user. So SSH with the user sudo XXX, supplying the password that is selected when you added the user to the table. And here, if you do sudo su, you're going to be automatically elevated to the root user. And that was the flag. So hopefully guys, you liked the video. These are the 4 methods of achieving the 4 solutions of having this machine figured out. So I hope you guys liked it, and I'm gonna see you later.